If someone asks you what you know about Noah, you probably say he built an ark, took two of every animal, and survived 40 days of rain. But here is the surprising part. Several things many people confidently believe about Noah are not actually stated in the biblical text. Some come from tradition, others comes from children's stories or popular retellings. So, today, let's open Genesis itself and discover what the Bible actually says. Welcome to Beyond the Verses, where we explore what scripture actually says by separating biblical text from popular tradition. Let's begin with number 10. Number 10. One of the most common ideas about Noah Ark is that it took exactly two of every animal, but Genesis gives more detailed instruction. According to Genesis chapter 7 verses 2 and 3, Noah was told to take additional pairs of clean animals and birds, while unclean animals came in one pair. The familiar phase, 2 by 2, isn't completely wrong, but it doesn't tell the whole story. It is a simplified version that is easy to remember, which is probably why it has become so popular. Number 9. Another surprising detail is that the Bible never tells us Noah's wife's name. Throughout Genesis, she is simply called Noah's wife. The same is true for the wives of Noah's three sons. Later, traditions gave these women names, but Genesis itself does not. Number 8. You have probably heard that Noah preached for 120 years before the flood. Surprisingly, Genesis never says that. Genesis chapter 6 verse 3 mentions 120 years, but it does not directly connect that number to Noah's preaching. Over the centuries, different interpretations developed, but the text itself does not make that specific claim. Number 7. Noah is often remembered as a perfect man, but the Bible describes him differently. Genesis calls him righteous and blameless among his generation. Yet, later chapters reminds us that he was still human and capable of failure. Righteousness does not automatically mean sinless. Number 6. Many people think the flood lasted only 40 days. Actually, the rain fell for 40 days and nights, but the flood itself lasted much longer. The water remained on the earth for 150 days, and Noah stayed in the ark for many more months before leaving. The full timeline is far longer than most people realize. Number 5. Movies and paintings often shows Noah's ark as a beautifully designed sailing ship, but Genesis doesn't describe it that way. Instead, it gives practical building instructions, including its measurements, rooms, and construction materials. Details like sails, a steering wheel, or decorative features are never mentioned. Number 4. Many retellings include dramatic scenes of Noah arguing with crowds or mocking those who refused to listen. Genesis, however, focuses on something else. Again and again, the text highlights Noah's obedience rather than recording long conversation with the people around him. Scripture emphasizes that Noah faithfully did everything God commanded, not him mocking people or arguing with them. Number 3. Children's books often makes Noah's story seems mostly about animals, but Genesis places the spotlight everywhere. The main reason for the flood Was humanity widespread wickedness and corruption? The animals are part of the story, but the central themes are judgment, obedience, preservation, and God's covenant. Number two, today, many people simply see the rainbow as a beautiful natural phenomenon. In Genesis, however, it carries a specific meaning. God established the rainbow as the sign of his covenant, promising never again to destroy all flesh by a flood. It represents God's promise, not merely a beautiful display in the sky. Number one, finally, God's covenant after the flood was broader than many people realize. It wasn't made only with Noah or with humanity. Genesis repeatedly says the covenants include every living creature, all flesh. That reminds us that God's promise extended to the whole creature order, not just human beings. Noah's story is one of the most familiar accounts in the Bible, but familiarity can sometimes cause us to overlook what the text actually says. Reading Genesis carefully helps us distinguish between scripture and traditions that developed over time. If this video encouraged you to look more closely at the Bible, consider subscribing to the Beyond the Verses for more thoughtful exploration of scripture. And before you leave, here is a question for you. Which of these surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.